It's okay. We're horrible people.
Yeah. So yeah, Rich is all like, JB, it's Wormwood all the time. Ah!
Okay, I'm cutting that out and I'm sending it to him tomorrow. Push that button, Maelstrom.
Do it.
That's 7:59.
Do it.
You're pressuring me. All
Do
right.
it.
Fuck it.
Start early.
Recording live from the E. Haley Memorial Studios, straight out of Almont, Ontario, it's time for This Death Clock Has 60 Minutes, your one and only weekly Warmahordes news broadcast. It's 8 p.m. Wednesday night, the beers are cold, the news is fresh, and the death clock starts now.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's another fine evening, and we've got a really cool thing going down.
The giant eyeball has joined us.
All the way from Iceland,
The giant eye.
from the top of Mordor, Sauron himself. Actually, tonight's guest is the one and only Bubba, King of the North, fresh from the OTC.
WTC.
Damn it. God, it's going to be an awesome
you know
night.
what? You know what happens when Bubba comes on?
And his name is Bubba.
Bubba see the thing is playing. You can't see it, but the stream is enjoying the full wonder that is Bubba.
That's right. That's right. So, first off, we'll have to introduce everybody else who's here other than Bubba. To my left is the one and only PG Semi-Automagic.
Hello.
And to my right is the other only Maelstrom.
Hey.
Hey.
As far as I know, he's the only
Hey.
Maelstrom.
Hey.
Also, Maelstrom, as you also may know him as GG Fan 178.
True.
And who is, now that we've got all this podcasting equipment set up in the basement, it's a little known fact that he actually is doing his own Gilmore Girls podcast, fan podcast.
I almost clicked on the Moose Machine one by accident.
That was close.
Yeah.
Is that
close.
before or after the one our wives do about butts?
That's right. Our wives have decided they're going to do a podcast called Nerd Butts, and they're
Yeah.
they're gonna objectify nerd asses.
I am 100% for this.
Hey, any objectification of my ass, because I show it so often.
It's true.
All right.
We've all seen it.
So
Yes, Sudabite John Cena does in fact have stealth because you never know he's right there and just boom.
yeah. So let's digress a little bit. We're gonna talk.
We digress into the podcast.
We're gonna digress into the actual topic of the podcast.
You
We're gonna
can
talk
feel
about the
him from 5
WTC.
inches away.
We're gonna talk about the WTC tonight. We're gonna let Bubba talk after we've done a whole bunch of gabbing. He's Skyping in all the way from Iceland. I mean, literally, this will be like the first time that Bubba's divulging all the secrets and information from this year's WTC 2016 from
Right here.
Amsterdam. Yeah. So Bubba, just a quick one before we get into the news. How was the WTC for you? I heard you did okay.
WTC was super sweet. It was not in Iceland, for those wondering. I'm just vacationing now in Iceland. Like the King of the North's kind of summer home. Kind of cool. The WTC was in Amsterdam, in the Netherlands. It was super sweet. I personally did very well, and also, more importantly, my team did very well. We managed to go 5-1, losing only to the eventual champions, and we finished third.
Which is awesome. So that's the highest place Canada's been, right? This is our best WTC yet?
Oh, by far.
Awesome.
I think the best before this was 13.
Wow.
We were predicted to be the, or sorry, you guys were. I'm not going to make myself like I'm part of this. No.
Well, you should. It's like
ownership.
any
It's like any, like
sports fan.
Yeah.
You identify with the
I
team.
identify. You guys are my team. The WTC is my Super Bowl.
Oh yeah.
I stop all things that weekend. I mean, we all sat and watched games and talked about it.
Yeah, my wife was like, I married you because you don't watch sports, and you're going to sit here and watch War Machine all weekend.
It's pretty much the same thing.
You're damn right.
Well, the other cool thing is that Muson Minis, who also hosts us, they streamed all weekends, all the events, all weekend long, and the streaming was amazing.
Yeah, huge shout out to Clint for all his hard work there, and all the things he had to put up with from the venue and getting that all up and running. It was
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, as PG Semi-Automagic understands, it is a very difficult thing to get live quality streaming going, especially at that type of deal, and to bring all your gear to a different country across the ocean.
Yeah.
All right, so before we get into talking about the WTC, we do have some news items from this week. The first one is, I think Maelstrom's probably most excited about this, so I'm going to get him to talk about it because he doesn't get to talk very often. Doug Hamilton unveiled just this crazy cool thing he did in his spare time.
Yeah,
Tell us about that.
It was apparently, as legend states, it was on his lunch break. And, of course, he has all kinds of 3D renders just kind of sitting around. So apparently he got bored and took the Hellmouth Maw, threw gore shade in it, added some pigtails from one of the other casters, I'm not quite sure, and a couple different swords from Zuriel and Rias and stuff, and posted it on a Facebook group and sent the entire War Machine world into a frenzy of what the hell.
What the hell?
Yeah.
Oh my God, Hellshade is going to be amazing.
Yeah.
Legion, they already getting an attachment? It's just going to be, and it's going to allow unlimited amount of Hellmouths, and it's just going to be
No, it's unlimited
Hellshade,
amount of tentacles. for whichever
Hellshade,
one you
and
attacked.
Hellshade, and 600 Hellmouths with unlimited tentacles. That's all that. That's what Legion's going to boil down to.
Pretty much. It's pretty much there
now. The biggest announcement coming from the boards this week from the world of rules and rules lawyering is that they've officially ruled that you can buy mount attacks with Fury and Focus.
More to the point that mount attacks are now melee attacks.
Right.
That's the important word.
It's a weapon like any other.
Yeah, because that brings out a whole bunch of stuff. Now, anything that it affects their melee attack now affects it. So, for example, Jake's feat with the murder ponies, suddenly their mounts are also range 2
Right.
electro leaping attacks as well as their lances.
Which is amazing.
That's awful.
Bubba, any thoughts on that ruling?
It's super. It just makes Cav more viable. They're still really pricey, so anything that can give them a little boost without making them insane is really good. It's super helpful for kind of everybody.
Since you're a Kadoran player, how do you feel about the Dragoons, the Kadoran Dragoons? I've seen them used to what seems like great effectiveness.
Dragoons are like pants on head retarded right now. It's also a big deal because they also announced today that there was a misprint on the Ulan card. That there's a misprint in the room. That the cards are that their mounts have crit knockdown as well.
Oh, wow.
Ooh.
So now Free Strike with their mounts, which are more powerful than their non-lance weapon.
Yeah.
Their non-lance weapon is only POW 10, and their mounts are POW 12. So now they can Free Strike with their mounts and have potential for crit knockdowns at POW 12.
Wow.
Jesus.
That is crazy cool.
Now, a counter charge is a charge, right? So that you can't you can't use the mount during that.
Oh no, I'm talking about Ulans, not Dragoons.
Oh my God, it's the Ulans.
Like
Oh.
the Dragoon mount always had crit knockdown,
Yeah.
but now they said that Ulans also have it.
So anybody with that heavy Kador horses is getting the knockdown.
Yeah, but Dragoons countercharging if they hit you with their mount, you're knocked down still.
Well, I thought because it was a charge, you couldn't use, because they always say the rule is you can't charge with a mount attack.
Yeah, but it's an impact attack.
Oh, okay. You do it as the impact attack. Got it.
Okay, so next news item. They did release the new little teaser for Mark of Cain.
Oh, yeah.
I think it was Mark of Cain. Anyway, one of the new Cain novel, and the cover, and it's been revealed that Cain is becoming a pistol wraith.
What?
If you look at the cover, they show Cain as a pistol wraith, and if you read the little bit of fluffy fiction, Kane is getting black magic voodooed into a pistol wraith at one point.
Oh, okay. I was like, they're killing Kane?
No, I don't think they're going to kill him.
Coming.
I think that he'll have the pistol wraith powers for a while. But that has led people to start thinking that maybe Kane 3 might be able to turn into something like a pistol wraith at one point, or have that as his feet or something along those lines. So
maybe his feet makes all gun mages incorporeal.
Could be all kinds of different things that he could do. It could also just change how his magic works. We don't know. Anyway, you know how it goes. The cover gets revealed and a little bit of fluffy fiction, and everybody in the world goes wild. Last but not least, the biggest news item, of course, of the week is that the WTC has wrapped up. Everybody was waiting for this year's WTC as sort of a way to the window into the best minds in War Machine as the first time for Mark III. See a really big competition at that scale. See what the lists are. And the statistics have started flowing out of the WTC. We know a bit more now. We've seen what people were throwing down on the table. We'll talk to Bubba in depth about the WTC, so I don't think we need to go into huge detail. But Bubba, tell us sort of who came in the top 3 and sort of how you felt the best casters that were out there and factions were.
So the top 3 were your new World Team Championships: Australia, Echidna. Which was Tom Guan's team, who is a Chinese man who's from America, who goes to school in Australia.
Yeah, the mercenary player.
Yep. Also, Colin Hill's team, they did really well. We played them really tight. We lost 3-2, and we had a chance. We had some chances to win that one. But they're certainly deserved champions. In second was Germany Black, another super strong team. And then third was us, Canada Goose. Myself, Chris Orr, Chandler Davidson, Tim Fung, and our captain, David Beauchamp.
So tell me a bit about just a quick breakdown. What were the sort of, I don't know how to put this in the easiest way for you to answer it, but what were the sort of top factions that you saw being played and the ones that did the best? And what were some of the top casters for those factions?
Well, all the statistics, like the hard and true statistics, are on the PP forums. So anyone that wants to go look that up can find them. They're just in the main discussion page. People did like breakdowns and all the percentages. So I know that the best faction statistically at the WTC was Circle. At approximately 55.5% win rate, which doesn't seem that high. That would indicate quite a bit of balance across the factions, except that the worst faction was Scorn at like 39% because they're bags of flaming shit.
Was that ignoring Convergence and Mercs, or is that like overall?
Nope, overall.
Ooh. When you come below Convergence, you know there's something going on.
Hey, dude. Convergence ain't
Convergence did
too
pretty
shabby.
good.
So like, you want to know casters too?
Yeah, we don't have to go into that. We'll talk about that more as we get into the roundtable, because we may as well sort of get into the roundtable now, because that's really going to be about the WTC. That there is called a segue, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to talk about the WTC in depth. Let's talk a bit about the format. For anybody who hasn't listened to the podcast much before, we've talked about the WTC and the OTC and other team champion style events quite a bit on the podcast. You can go back and listen to some of our back catalog, because we really have talked about this 3 or 4 times. But what I'm going to get sort of the first question for the evening for Bubba is kind of give me a really quick overview of how a team championship works.
So a WTC format, as it's known, because there are different team formats, is a 5-man team event. And the way it works is a team, you roll off. It doesn't matter which position you are. You have a captain, and that's cool. So you roll off, and a team picks A or B. The team that is A gets to choose 3 of the 5 matchups. And the team that is B chooses less matchups, but gets to choose all the tables, which can potentially be a huge deal. So if you're team B, you put out 1 list. Team A puts out 2 lists to counter that, and Team B picks that game that they want. And then you move on in the same, putting out 2 lists versus 1, and the other team's picking until all the matchups are picked. And then you play 5 1v1 games, and the best 3 out of 5 takes the match.
So there was a lot of talk about whether it was better to go first or to pick tables. What's your feeling on that?
My Team Canada won the die roll all 6 times and picked A position all 6 times. I don't know why. I'm not the captain. That's just what happened.
So, what's the advantage? Well, you don't know why, but if you're going to pick A, what is the advantage there, really?
So you get to pick more matchups, and matchups can usually overpower the taking all the tables. And while A position is supposed to pick 3 of the 5 matchups, it's quite possible to push that to 4 if you're really smart with how you put out your lists. And we felt that pretty much every round, maybe -1, we got 4 good matchups that we wanted compared to the other team getting 1 and picking all the tables.
All right, so the next big thing is, so now we know how it works. Let's talk a bit about before the WTC and what you had to do. Let's start with how were the teams chosen? How did your Beauchamp decide that you guys were going to be on his team? Was it like going to the schoolyard where you all stood in a line and he had to choose 5? How'd that go?
No. So there's actually 2 Team Canadas. So that's important to note that 10 guys go. Hopefully next year there'll be 3, so it'll be 15 guys. So the way it works is you have to apply to be on the team, and by applying, you pay. Huh?
Oh no, continue. You're good.
So by applying, you pay $30, and you give a commitment that you can afford to go and all that stuff. And that happens in February. The WTC happens in September, and then in March, a non-partial committee gets together and picks 2 captains. And then with the captain's input, they pick the remaining 8 players. And then they kind of divvy up the players. In Canada, we do it east-west because we're so big and it allows us to practice. So David Beauchamp was named the captain of the East, and he picked myself and my teammates. And that's kind of how it gets chosen. It's really, really far in advance to give us lots of practice time. And all that went down the shitter in June when Mark III came out.
So with Mark III coming out and Marc-Andre having to bow out, how was this year as a prep year?
So we felt really one of the biggest things would be the teams that have the most success will obviously have really skilled players, but they'll also have players that put in a lot of games, because the changes are huge and sweeping, and having that knowledge of matchups and abilities and all that stuff is going to take you far when in such a short period of time when a lot of people don't have that time to practice. And losing Marc-Andre was huge. Like, that sucked. Everyone knows he's one of the best players in this country, so it was really hard for us not to have him on the team.
So let's go to the next step. You've got your players on your team. How do you guys sort of spread your lists and make decisions on what obviously you guys play certain factions. You are all quote unquote experts on your faction. You play Kador, for example. I'm sure you can play other factions in a pinch, but you're going to play the faction you're best at, I would guess. How do you guys choose? Is that how the factions are decided? And what do you do as far as list balancing to make sure you're covering certain ends?
Exactly that. Especially with Mark III, it was kind of just a comfort thing. Like, I knew I was going to play Kador. Chris Orr knew he was going to play Legion. Tim Fung knew he was going to play Circle. That kind of thing. The only one that flip-flopped was David Beauchamp. He wasn't sure if he was going to play Signar or Rhett. He ended up taking Rhett because we felt they were better in the meta and a lot of the matchups that we weren't covering. And it's the matchup covering is just kind of identifying some of the boogeymen out there and being like, okay, do we have this in our back pocket? Can we throw this silver bullet out there and get that while also covering kind of those general skews like an armor skew or an infantry spam, that kind of thing.
So what your personal strategy going in? What were your two lists, and why did you pick those?
So I took a Rusk 2 because he's really good into Circle. He negates Wormwood's feet, and he can generally play into Wormwood, and he'll kind of push that matchup so that if you have a Rusk 2, they'll play their other list because they don't want to play Wormwood. And then until a week before WTC's list submission, I was going to play Vlad 1.
Oh.
My really sweet Vlad 1 list with Behemoth and double decimators and double rifle core with rockets that just shot everyone off the table on turn 2. Yeah, it was a really cool list. And then I was like, I'm going to play Karchev. As has been talked about a lot on various forums and groups and such, I'm a giant piece of shit who took Karchev and a bunch of Maddogs to WTC, along with 2 of my friends from Sweden.
So that Mad Dog list, it's just a couple of jugs, Mad Dogs to fill up the points, and what else?
So I run it a little different from the Swedes. It should be noted that I've talked to them, Johan Dyerland and Joke Rapp, quite a bit. Especially, mostly Johan. I really don't talk to Joke. Johan and I have been talking for like 2 months about this list. He plays a little different than me. He has Ruin and 12 Mad Dogs. I have 2 Juggernauts and 10 Mad Dogs. And then I have minimum mechanics, 2 Goblin Tinkers, and I think the biggest thing I have on my list is Reinhold for reload.
Yeah, and well, I saw those Tinkers and I'm like, well, if they manage to kill all the heavies, there's 2 scenario pieces that are never getting shot off the table.
They're amazing. Scenario. Amazing.
They are. It's just ridiculous.
Which is that, Tinkers?
Yeah, the Tinker.
Oh, Tinkers are awesome at scenario because you just can't hit them half the time.
It's so stupid.
Well, I've had since Mark III, I've had 2 assassinations where the Tinker was involved in the final assassination as well.
Well, when you can't kill it, it's still around when it's time for assassination.
I had a couple glorious Goblin Tinker maneuvers at WTC. It was pretty good.
Hi, Bubba. This is Maelstrom. You don't know me, but I'm part of the podcast.
Who is?
He's some scrub who lets us do it at his house.
Yeah. So who is dropped into who at the WTC and why?
So this is really funny, and like this is 100% true. I am dropped into not Aussian and literally everything else.
So you were, we need something to go against this, throw Bubba at it?
More or less. Chandler was a bit of the same. Chandler could play into a lot of stuff. Tim Fung had to avoid the Wormwood counter lists that were being built out there, and there were quite a few of them. Your Rusk lists, your Sevi 2s, that kind of stuff. So that's pretty much it. We just kind of we felt we had a really good pairings that just went well into a lot of things, and we only really had to dodge 1 or 2 things, and that's what we felt really helped us.
So the fact that you had basically all comers lists meant that the pairing process was not taken out of the equation, but much easier for you guys because your other lists were so strong?
We didn't have all comers lists. We had all comers pairs. Um, so while the specific list might have been skewed a little into one thing, uh, like Chandler had Krios 3 as like an armor cracking list that could take on even like Madrak 2. And then his Sevi 2 list was like, I kill all the Dude Swarms ever, but I can crack a bit of armor and I can assassinate really well.
Mm-hmm.
So that, well, the individual lists couldn't cover everything. The pair covered, 99% of the field.
So I guess the next question, well, I think the next thing we want to hear about is tell us about round one. Give us the sort of the scoop, the skinny, the play-by-play, the what was your round one pairing and how did it go?
Round one, we played Austria 1, a team that was picked by a lot of people as the dark horse to do really, really well because they grabbed Martin Hornacek, the Don from Slovakia, to be on their team. Widely considered the greatest scoring player in the world. And while people might laugh at that, he went 5-1 with scoring, and he's still really scary.
Mm-hmm.
So we played them first. I was matched up with a gentleman named Eric, who was playing Convergence, and he had Mother and Father. So I was like, oh, I'm just going to drop Karchev. I don't think either list can deal with that much armor. It was Incursion, and fun fact, Goblin Tinkers are god on Incursion. You just put one on the left flag and one on the right flag, and they just never die. Basically, he went first. I think I lost every die roll, all 6 rounds. So I always went second, which sucked. So I just ran 12 inches on turn 1. Then on turn 2, I ran 12 more inches. Engaged all his shit. He couldn't kill anything, really. I feeded with Karchev, killed everything but his Prime Axiom. And I built a conga line of like 4 jacks in front of Karchev so he couldn't get pulled. Even though a Prime Axiom doesn't kill Karchev anyway, because, yeah, it's dice -1.
Yeah, Karchev's 21 normally.
Yeah.
Yeah, dice -1.
Dice -1. He doesn't kill me. Anyway, and then I just most of his stuff was dead, so I just the Goblin Tinkers literally were just scoring me 2 points a turn.
Yeah, those assimilators just don't hold up against that much Mad Dog at all.
Well, on my feet turn, 1 Mad Dog kills an assimilator.
Oh yeah, and he's only rocking 3 assimilators.
7 points kills his whatever point jack.
16.
Yeah, there you go. So it was stupid because I was I walk into you, punch you 3 times, you die, or 4 times or whatever, and then I was just running Mad Dogs. I was just well, this one's doing nothing. Run. I engaged his caster.
So I guess this begs a question, Bubba, because I mean you are the guy who brought Mad Dogs with a couple other folks to the WTC in Karchev. What is there a solution to this list? Because we're going to see this list all over the goddamn place now. I guarantee you there's going to be 2 guys in the Ottawa meta who are going to be like, we'll sell all his blah, blah, blah for all your Mad Dogs out there looking to trade for Mad Dogs. What is the solution to that list? Because we're all going to be facing it.
Ossian just crushes it. Take double strike force and win.
Because they can just shoot everything off the table?
Yeah, I don't see how Ossian doesn't just kill it easily. Other than that, I think you can Nemo 1 or something like that, or you really need to kind of delve deep into the jank tank. We talked after the WTC for hours one day. We're just okay, what about this? Nope, nope. That just gets shit stomped by it. What about this? What about that? And we're having some trouble figuring some stuff out. I think it's gonna pan itself out eventually. Either that, well, that, and it'll get errated.
All right,
Like
so
I think the Mad Dog needs to get errated, not Karchev or anything. But
that begs the question: what's your like if you were sitting at Privateer Press, or if they came to you and said, "Okay, we know that you know this list better than anything else," how do they errata it? What's the errata going to be?
oh, if I have to choose, nothing. It's fine.
Totally fair and balanced.
Um, it probably has to do along the lines of something with jury rig. Being able to be speed 6 at the cost of a damage is ridiculous. I heard a suggestion that because they have ancient cortexes, which is true, maybe they don't get power up. It's a specific like, back rule. They don't get power up, but they return the rule where they run and charge for free, aggressive. That was a pretty good thought. I heard that wasn't my idea. I heard that. I can't remember who I heard.
All right, so give us round 2. What happens round 2? What's the matchups? Give us the
what
overview.
do you do to Magnus?
Round 2, I played Mateusz from Poland. He was playing Magnus 2 with a ton of jacks. The scenario was Recon.
Was this the theme list that you played against? Or did he
No,
not
no.
do Kingmaker?
This was Magnus 2 with like basically all warjacks.
Oh, wow.
So it was like I had 13 warjacks on the field. He had Gallant, Double Nomad, Freebooter, 2 Talons, a Renegade, Thor with an Avalancher, Anastasia. This is all off the top of my head. I cannot believe I remember this whole list.
Jesus, that is bizarre.
Silas. Anyway, so he got first turn because I lost the die roll. He ran, and this is where it got interesting because this was the first game this happened, and it happened in 2 more games, so 3 times total. So he ran up, I ran up full 12 inches with all my Mad Dogs, 8 inches with the Jugs, and Karchev charged 9 and cast countercharge. He then proceeded to back up 5 inches.
That's amazing.
And gave me, he put 1 model in the zone and was just like, take a scenario point.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, I was really confused. So I did. Like, I went, killed his objective. I couldn't get the model out of the zone, and he bullet dodged Gallant and put him in a trench
Oh, God.
in the corner of the zone. I only have 3 guns in the list anyway, but what I should have done is slammed him out of the zone and scored 3. But I'm stupid, and I tried to kill him in melee.
And it's a bullet dodged Gallant?
Yeah, def 15, need casual 10s. And I didn't feat for 1 model. So I scored a point and just kind of ran everything up and was just like, go ahead. So he went and feated, brought in Anastasia, killed one of my Galver Tinkers
Oh, no.
because she has backstab now. And that's really good. And I was really sad. And then he feated, so I couldn't go towards his board edge or the left board edge. But because he backed up, he didn't charge anything. Like, he didn't get any work done. I think he charged one of my jacks and didn't kill it. So he was going to get all his stuff into me the next turn, but he got no work done by backing up. So I did basically nothing. Actually, that's not true. I wrecked a Talon by walking the one way I could. And then he went into me, killed a couple Mad Dogs, and then I feated with Karchev and killed literally everything.
Huh.
He
Wow.
had he had Magnus and his Avalancher left because his Avalancher was behind his whole army shooting me.
It sounds almost like all he really. I mean, it sounds like he needed to set himself up for an alpha on you. So at least he had an equal amount of spank. I mean, I'm not saying that it was a balanced list, but mistakes were made.
Yeah, it was good because Magnus 2 has Field Marshal Unyielding now. So I just shot Karchev's gun and clipped like 3 Warjacks at a time and knocked them down so they didn't get Unyielding.
Fair, totally fair.
That was cool.
All right.
The one sad thing that happened that game is I had to trample Anastasia 4 times to kill her. All with the same. He just trampled her 4 turns in a row, just like going back and forth. It was hilarious.
Jesus Christ.
All right, so let's just go right in. Let's just keep running the rounds. Round 3, what happens?
Played Germany. That was the round I played a Rusk. So the internet says I played Karchev, but I played a Rusk. Really grindy game. There was a bit of nonsense at the end. About a measurement. In the end, like a Rusk charged a Feral and killed it, and I scored 5 CPs and won.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, that game was really long, and I actually really don't remember. It was late in the day, and we were playing it on the stream, and it was so like our table didn't have a light, so it was so dark in the corner of the room we were. It was really kind of shitty.
Yeah, that is the one thing that I berated Chris about while he was running the stream. I'm like, dude, next year pack lights.
Yeah.
All right, so this is the end of day 1. You guys are all tired. You know you have day 2 to go through. Was there anything, I don't know what changes on the fly, but team talk in the middle of the 2 days? Was there anything that, like, interesting judge calls or things you guys changed in your game plan, anything like that?
So we were really happy to be undefeated after day 1. That was one of the big goals. Get into day 2 undefeated. They posted the pairings for the next day almost immediately. So we were sitting at dinner and we found out that we were playing Australia, which was disheartening because they were like the one team we didn't want to play because they're so freaking good. But so we just kind of spent the entire dinner and that evening dojoing how we want to do the matchup process against Australia and how we want to play those games.
All right, so this goes inevitably. It's the next day, your game with Australia. And this is, I'm not going to say things went wrong. They're a great team. So what, just sort of give us a play-by-play of what happened over the 5 tables during that matchup.
Yeah, so we got there, and there was a long delay, unfortunately, due to technical problems with the streams. So we kind of had to wait around. And it was cool. We sat there, all 5 of us, on Canada and all 5 of the Australians, and we just shot the shit and told stories and had laughs, and it was good. And then we paired up. So Chris Orr played Dylan Simmer, Orr playing Legion, Simmer playing Rhett. Simmer assassinated him on turn 2 because, yeah, it was bad. Ron versus Lil
3,
yeah.
I think.
It was really bad. Turn 2 assassination. Beauchamp played Jack Ding, who was playing Menok. Beauchamp was playing Rat. We dropped Ozian and just crushed him, like shot all his Jack table, because that's what Ozian does. Tim Fung played Wormwood into Colin Hill playing Rask, and the big thing that was picked up from WTC is Rask doing the snake toss at people from 22 inches away.
Yeah, the flying snake.
Yeah.
Terrifying. So Fung had never played it before, but he played it really, really well. And he never got the snake toss at him. And he was actually winning on scenario and playing really well. And then he learned that Rask had called sacrifice.
Oh.
So he got Rask to 1 box and was like putting attacks into him, and then Colin's just picking his shamblers off the table one at a time. So that sucked. So unfortunately, that was a hard lesson learned. And then Chandler played Tom Guan and was crushing him, absolutely crushing him. And Tom Guan had to go for an assassination, so he hunters marked Chandler's objective and charged it with Megalith in such a way that he could reach his caster, who he would have not been able to hunter's mark or straight charge.
Okay.
So Chandler could have either moved a bit to his left, which I don't think he could have because he was in a forest, so he couldn't make that distance. Or he could have arcane warded his objective, so it could not have been hunter's mark. But that's something you just don't see, and that's what Chandler said after. He's like, no way would I ever have been like, oh, I'm going to arcane ward my objective, so he doesn't get hunter's mark, so I don't get charged by Megalith and I don't die.
Yeah.
I'm going to think of everything that could possibly ever happen ever.
Yeah. And it was actually it was dicey that Megalith even kills him. He needed to hit a few hard sevens, and it happened. So that was unfortunate. However, I played Chris Davies, who I regularly talk to about Khador because he's a Khador player. He is the gentleman who won the Iron Gauntlet World Championship at Lochinvar. So he's a super, super legit Khador player. And he was playing a Rusk 2, and I played. His Rusk 2 list is weird, though, because it has Shock Troopers. His Rusk 2 list is built specifically for Wormwood, because Shock Troopers don't get pushed or pulled by Hellmouth. They don't get damaged really by Hellmouth because it's like dice off 9. And they're just bosses. They're super bosses against like Warpwolf Stalkers and stuff like that because they're dice off 3. They're just really good in that matchup. So we played a slog of a game. And this was the game where I didn't run my Mad Dogs screaming across the board. Because he hits really hard with Battle Lust, and that's scary. But what I did do, and it was kind of cute, and it's actually what won me the game. Excuse me, is that his Iron Fang pikemen were on the one flank, and he has regular IFP, so they have to shield wall or they just die because they can't mini feet and run. And so he has them all shield walled up. So I just run a Mad Dog into the middle of them, and he's like, "Well, I can try to go past you and put them into play, and take 5 free strikes and probably lose 5 Iron Fangs and they die, or I can kill your Mad Dog." And I'm like, "Yep." So he kills my Mad Dog. So the next turn, I'm like playing board position. I'm getting ready to fight his Shock Troopers and his Jacks and that kind of thing. And I just run another Mad Dog into his Iron Fangs. They're already set up. And he's like, "Well, same thing. I can take 5 free strikes and have 5 guys die, or I can kill your Mad Dog." So he killed my Mad Dog. So I did this 4 turns in a row.
Only you have a list that after 4 turns in a row, you still
have
have
a Mad Dog.
Yeah. Well, like, his IFP did nothing. They didn't contest any board position. They didn't threaten any models. They did nothing but attack a Mad Dog every turn. It was great. They just were, like, on the side of the board, like, fighting a fucking Mad Dog every turn. It was hilarious.
All right,
the rest of my army is sweeping through the left side, and like scoring points. Like I was up 3-0 on scenario, and yeah, by late game he couldn't get any IFP to contest. He got 1 Rocketeer and Torch, and I had to kill them with 4 Jacks and Karchev.
So let's just quickly cover round 5. You guys are now out of the top 2, so to speak. You're now contesting for 3rd and 4th at this point. And what was your final game like, and how did it go?
Oh well, round 5 was my second last game.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry about that.
We played Sweden 2. Easily my funnest game of the tournament. I played Stefan from Sweden, who's originally from Iceland. Super sweet dude, and he played Crix, and he played Denny 1. And so I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna play Karchev. This should be good, but I'm gonna do it. So I played Karchev, Jack Spam into Crix, which in Mark II is called Suicide.
Yeah.
Mark III, it's called Winning the Game. Karchev parked himself on the flag in Taken Hold after he feeded early, but I managed to run a Goblin Tinker to contest his flag, which forced him to back off. That Goblin Tinker proceeded to live for the next 3 turns in the center of Denny One's army
Holy crap.
because F18, God. Yeah, and then I just kind of chipped away, and I was scoring a point every turn. On my turn, he would just run in like a Statixis Raider to contest, and I would just kill it and then score. And then eventually, that's just how the game finished. The game actually finished. I had like 30 seconds left because I was wasting a bunch of time earlier in the game. He ran in 2 Statixis, and I was like, I don't know if I have enough time to kill them both with Karchev's gun. So I ran Reinhold. He put them too close together, so I ran Reinhold in between both of them and shot an eruption at Reinhold.
Oh no.
And it can't. They were really close because they have to be within 4 of the flag, and Karchev's on the flag. So it couldn't deviate far enough to get off any of them, and it's POW 14, not blast damage, so they both auto died. And that's how I won.
Nice.
Excellent. All right, so give us the last round, and then we'll try to delve into a bit of the brain as we in the last few minutes of the show.
Round 6 was another game. Oh, and that was in the Crix game. He backed off like 5 inches as well. Last game was Gustav Lindrup. Also, we played Sweden 3. Sweden is like the best War Machine nation now. They finished 4th, 9th, and 11th. They're 3 teams, so they're a really powerful country. So we played their 3rd team in the 6th round. I played Gustav. He was playing Krios 3. He will fully admit that was one of the worst shit kickings in the world. He just I had a wall. It was entrenched with the 2 horizontal zones. And I had a wall in my own zone.
Ooh.
The card sat behind it, and I just scored a point every round. And anything he put in the zone, I just killed with my Maddogs, or slammed it out, or killed it with a Juggernaut. He actually just had no chance. It was terrible. It was a terrible matchup. It was a terrible table for him. It was a terrible scenario for him. It just was all in my favor, and I just couldn't lose that game. It was really, really bad. So every turn from turn 2, I scored a point by controlling by dominating my own zone.
So
And that's how it finished.
So it's Maelstrom again, Bubba.
Long-time listener, first time
listener.
question.
Yeah. So this is obviously the first Mark III WTC we've had. What do you think people will take from this? Are there any immediate erratas that need to happen? And are things fair and balanced enough? Is it time for the first?
So I've heard that an errata is coming in December. That errata is needed. Some things that need to be fixed are throws. The throws can just auto hit things, and that's stupid.
Mm-hmm.
If you know how throws work, you can just throw things directly away from you, and then just if you position correctly, you'll just auto clip a caster and knock them down.
Yeah.
So that needs to be fixed. Maddogs need to be fixed. Wormwood needs to be fixed, that kind of stuff. The thing that's going to be taken from the WTC is over-exaggeration by the general populace of players. They're going to over-exaggerate how good things are, how bad things are, that kind of thing, in terms of tournaments. Not in terms of, playing in your basement with your friends or anything. But they're going to be this is what happened at WTC, so this is how I have to play this because this did really well or this did really bad, so I can't play this. And that's not something that needs to happen because that's just foolish.
The next question we have for sort of way of thinking and sort of, I think what's interesting to most of the listeners is what boils down out of WTC, or at least it is to me. Madrak 2, was he the beast that everybody expected him to be at the WTC?
So, to my last point, people are going to overreact to things like that. Madrak 2 had a 39% win rate. Madrak 2 was also teched against almost as bad as Wormwood. Wormwood was the most teched against caster. Madrak 2 was easily the second best, or second most teched against caster. So he was thrown into all kinds of bad matchups, games that he just shouldn't win or can't win. And so, of course, he's going to lose all the time. Is Madrak 2 insane? You betcha. Like, he is easily one of the best casters in the game. He's terrifying. I am just terrified of playing him.
So I guess the next question is, what does it take to become a WTC player? Like now that you've done this for a few years now, to those people listening that have to, they now want to be the next. They think they're good enough in their home meta to get to the WTC level. What does it take to get there? What do you got to do? How do I become a WTC player?
So one of the things is play a lot of games. Another thing is you can't just be the best player in your local meta. That's generally not enough, unfortunately. You need to go to cons, and that means you need to go to America. So you can go to the Sioux, and that's great, or you can go to Attack X or Grotz out west, and that's great too. As far as I know, they really want to see that American con on your resume. Qualifying for a Masters at an American con will really bump you up, because those American cons have that great competition. Not that America did very well at this WTC. However, they really want to see that. They want to see that level of both experience and dedication and skill. So winning 5 local steamrollers in a row is really great. But if you only have 8 players, 6 of them have been playing for 5 months, and you've just had a steamroll every month, and the other one's your brother who's 10 years younger than you, that you'll obviously kick the snot out of, that looks good on paper, but that kind of doesn't. It kind of takes a little less standing than if you're like, I went to LVO, qualified for Masters, and came top 8. So those are like, it's unfortunate that that's how it has to happen, but like, they're not going to see you play in person, so they need to see those paper achievements. I guess is how you would put it.
They need to see it on paper.
Yeah, like, so you need to have a decent War Machine resume. There is an interview process and stuff like that, and that counts for some stuff too. And word of mouth is a big deal. If there's some people that can vouch for you, being a great player, being a great person, because Canada is not going to send some asshat.
But Chandler made it.
Good point, George. I retract what I just said.
Well, Maelstrom, now that Bubba knows who you are, you're pretty much in. That's
what I was hoping.
That.
That's what I was.
So,
and I've beaten George. So
Bubba, before we sort of close this all out and get to the lightning round, when you get to this level of competition, when it is the best in the world all fighting it out, is it still fun?
So, playing the game, it's as fun as you want to make it. You know what? It is. I just always have fun when I play, no matter what. Is there a bit of pressure for me to win? Sure. But I'm still going to have a good time. I'm still going to laugh with my opponent and laugh at myself, no matter what happens. And just enjoy the fact that I am at the World Championships playing on a 5-man team with 4 really cool friends, great friends, and playing against all these great people. And I get to see all these great people. And I'm not going to let the pressure wear me down and weigh me down to where I'm not having a good time, because this is my hobby. This is what I do for fun. This is not my job. I'm not going to make a lot of money. So you just, if you want that, it's cool, I guess, but I think most of us don't do it for that. So, you can't take it that seriously.
So you heard it here, folks. Bubba has admitted that he's not rolling in cash from his King of the North. You know, all the cash, all that free swag, the piles.
Well, you don't make money from playing the game. You make money from endorsements.
That's right. It's all about the. Oh, and by the way, your Jays are winning right now. Just so you know.
Yeah, it's 2-0, right?
All right. We are. I think we're gonna round it out around now. I think. Thank you, Bubba, for letting us pick your brain. But it's time for
The lightning round.
Well, guys, this is the 10 toughest questions in War Machine. We're back to our regular format. And I got good news for you. We actually do have a minty fresh question of the week, and it is super complex.
Yay!
So I tried to skew this a little bit. Oh, see, he's watching the game the whole time. Look at that guy. I was worried I was going to be ruining the game. I'm like, shit, I just told him the score. Oh, no. He might have PVR'd it and be like, damn you for ruining it. All right. Question number. You guys all know how this works. Bubba's on, so he's going to go bing bong if he knows the answer. The rest of you can buzz in.
Am I not like on a wicked delay from Iceland though?
No, you're actually. This
You're
not
right
that
on.
long. You just might need to be really loud to overwhelm these guys. I'll be watching for your mouth moving before these guys because when they talk, it mutes you. So here we go. Question number 1: which steamroller objective has the null zone ability? I'm going to give that to George.
Arcane Wonder.
It is Arcane Wonder. Good job. Question number 2. What is the range on a Glacier King's Wind Thrower?
Bing bong.
Bubba.
12.
It is
Inches.
12. Very good. What is Wormwood's control range?
Bing bong.
Bubba.
14.
It is 14. Question number 4. Who carries a sword that has the name Evangeline? Oh. Who's named his
Bing bong.
sword? Oh, Bubba.
Is it Ashland?
No, it's Commander Andrei Malikov. He's named his sword Evangeline. I just thought that was really cool.
What a sissy.
All I could think of was like Disney movies.
I like it. Evangeline. All right, so question number 5. When can a beast be riled? What part of the activation scheme? George.
Anytime.
No.
Anytime during its activation?
During
Well,
its
during its activation.
Specifically
You said during its activation.
No,
You
no,
said
no.
it
Sorry.
anytime.
I said when can a beast be riled in the scheme? I
Yep.
never said. So, I'll give it to you.
On a beast activation, it's anytime.
I've been robbed.
It's an
I've been robbed.
anytime ability.
Sort of. Yeah. It actually, I'll give a point to each of you. You're not going to win. He's like 6 points ahead of you. Question number 6.
Well, yeah,
How many boxes does Tartarus have?
Too damn many.
Tartarus. How many boxes does Tartarus have in Mark III rules? Go
I'm
for
gonna
it.
guess 8.
It is 8. Very good.
Yay.
He kept to 8.
But he got to keep the 8. Question number 7. What is the field allowance on Venerator Reavers?
Bing bong.
Bubba.
2.
No, it's unlimited, which is weird for a unit. Anyway, continuing. Question number 8. What is the diameter of a standard circular zone?
Bing bong.
Bubba.
The diameter?
I was gonna say,
How,
is this a question?
how far across is the standard circular zone?
12 inches.
12 inches, yeah.
You were thinking, is it the radius?
Is
Did
it the
he say
radius? Is it radius or which one is the one that's all the way across?
That's my thought process.
Question number 7. Here we go. Complicated question. I'm channeling the guy that sent us the questions last week. How many shots can Captain Alistair Kane take with his pistols, assuming he's on a full stack of focus and has Reinhold attached to him?
Bing bong.
Go for it, Bubba.
You said Captain Alistair Kane,
I
right?
said Captain Alistair Kane.
So technically, the answer is unlimited because his feet allows him to shoot models in his control range. He gets to take one shot against each model in his control range.
It's Captain Alistair Kane is actually the one that's his feat. He is allowed. He's allowed reload. The actual answer is 9, because he's allowed to spend a focus to. This is not the feat one, as far as I understand. That is the other one. That's Lieutenant. Lieutenant Kane's the one that feats and kills everybody in his controls. But that's okay. I may have screwed it up. I probably did. That's the way it works. George is looking
So
at
it's
it
either
now.
unlimited or 9.
The chat got it right.
It's either unlimited or 9. I'm pretty sure I checked it. So I mean, but I've gotten things wrong. It is the King of the North. I'm about to be rules lawyered here. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, it's the Minty Fresh question of the week. What was the name of the War Master Prince Leto was being groomed to replace during the reign of Vinter Railthorn, as per the short fiction, The King's Own?
So the War Master that he was going to be replaced?
Yeah, he was being
That he
groomed
was
to
replacing.
replace. Yes. So basically, the War Master that came before Leto.
I have no idea.
Anybody?
I'm going to say his name was Frank.
His totally
Ledger.
40 points for you. No, his actual name was Archduke Karsten Lattimore. Grandpa Lattimore.
Grandpa Lattimore.
Grandpa Lattimore. So yeah, that's the Minty Fresh question of the week. You know, it's all over the place. Did we get a verification on the Kane thing?
Yes, you did pick the correct king.
I picked the right one, so it was 9. It was
it
9
was
because
9.
his focus is
Congratulations.
6. He gets 2 extra shots from his. Well, he gets his 2 starter shots. Then he has 6 extra shots because he can reload, and then he gets reload from Reinhold, which gives him the extra 1 shot. The answer was 9. I wasn't wrong. I'm getting okay at this whole question and answer thing. All right, guys. Well, I want to thank you very much for this giant evening of WTC talk. It is time for that death clock to click down before we get to the end of the evening. Mr. PG Semi-Auto Magic, what kind of events do we have coming up in the Ottawa area?
Coming up in the Ottawa area, we do have a steamroller on October 15th at Kessel Run Games. It looks to be very well attended. So if you want to get that practice in for your WTC or more locally for your OTC, get in there and play some games.
At
the end of October, we have the Two-Headed Pharaoh event.
Oh, yeah.
So find your partner, get your armies together, come up with some horrible combinations of feats, and we look forward to seeing what happens with that.
We also have a painting competition coming up in November, and James, one of our regulars on the show, Paint Master James, has a painting class coming up in late October.
Bases and weathering.
Bases and weathering coming up in the next couple of months. We'll get you those details on our Facebook page as they hit the ground running. I want to say November 5th is the painting competition.
Is that the one Jean is running?
Jean is running at.
Yeah.
Did you see the prizes for that?
Oh, it's crazy!
Oh,
Beautiful,
they're
beautiful
amazing.
stuff.
Baby.
If you are on the hobby side of stuff, there's some cool hobby stuff coming down the pipeline.
Yeah.
Bubba, any cool events happening in your area you want to shout out?
Iceland?
2 things. It should be noted for everyone that the World Ender is starting up again in November, I think, is the first one. So the points add up kind of deal again, I think. I don't know. I think the first one's in the GTA area. But I know people drive down to get the points and stuff or drive up from the States or whatever. November 19th in Mississauga, looks like. But even cooler is War Machine Weekend in November, first weekend of November. Bunch of us are going there. War Machine Weekend is my favorite con because it's amazing. 100% War Machine, just everyone goes. It's great.
I
So,
guarantee
so
you
there's-
they'll have some great streams coming out of Privateer because Privateer Press will be streaming that.
Yeah,
one, as
they'll
far
be
as I
at
understand.
War Machine Weekend.
Yeah. So lots of cool events coming up. Hopefully everybody at WTC who is going to War Machine Weekend stops in, says good day to Bubba, and shouts out that those Moose Machine guys should be here. You guys should have those Moose Machine guys here. They're super legit.
And Maelstrom.
And
And meltdown.
I'm sorry, Bubba. He just shows up. He
Moose Machine guys and who?
and
I love you, Bubba.
your biggest fan. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for this evening. Thank you, Bubba, for joining us and imparting all of the knowledge and all of the great events that happened at the WDC. We're kind of lucky to be able to get you on the horn this early on, and early in the morning for you in Iceland. Go get some sleep. Enjoy your last bits of your vacation. George, thank you very much for being my partner in crime for 51 episodes and for many, many more. And what's his name again?
That other guy?
Oh, hey, Maelstrom.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
That's me.
Thanks for being you. You're just the best, buddy.
And
No
thanks,
problem.
And thanks to the Wizards Tower for keeping the lights on.
Yeah, well, last thing before we go.
Yeah.
We need to actually talk a little bit about the Wizards Tower. Ladies and gentlemen, they make the lights stay on here. They are the ones that support us, and they keep Moose Machine rolling. Please remember that if you need to get models, you're in Canada, you want to have them shipped to your home because you just can't get to your local game store.
Or you don't have one.
That's the place to go. They ship all over Canada. They also carry a wide variety of Magic the Gathering cards if you play that game as well. Thank you very, very much, everybody, for joining us. Remember to support your local game store. And if you can't support your local game store, support the Wizards Tower. That's going to be my new tagline. You like that?
Yeah, I like
Yes.
that.
I like that. All right.
What if it's our local game store, though?
It is our local game store, so we should be
Yeah.
supporting it. We should go play there maybe on Sunday. And last bit of news, we will be streaming live games on Monday.
Yeah.
So every Monday night, it's going to be called, what did you call it? It's like Games from the pub. Awesome. So check us out. You can please be alive and tell us all the crap we're getting wrong.
Yeah, because we're bad at this
half
game.
in the bag and generally cheating. Maelstrom?
Yes.
It's over. Hit that button.
Okay, I'll just
Dice
hit the
down,
button.
buddy. Yeah, just do the button thing.